What could be more important than remembrance and honoring those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in the service of this country, the United States of America, the most benevolent of democracies? We will meet various officers following these messages.
The United States of America was founded on the ideals of freedom, justice, and equality. Our nation stands as a shining beacon of liberty and freedom for the world. We thank those who gave their lives to keep us free, and we shall not forget you. We shall remember.
Good afternoon, and it truly is an honor to be here with each and every one of you. And one of the things that someone came up to me and they said, "Sir, Colonel West, we'd like to thank you for being here today, but never thank me for doing something that is right. Because somewhere today, the exact same ceremony is being held at Marietta National Cemetery, just north of my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. And in that national cemetery lies Corporal Herman West, a veteran of World War II. And right there with him, buried together, is my mother, Elizabeth Thomas West, who served 25 years civilian service with the 6th Marine Corps District Headquarters. So I am here, thank you. So it is only right to be here because someone is at Marietta National Cemetery doing the exact same thing for my father and for my mother. And one day, I pray that someone will do the exact same thing for me when I am laid to rest as well. But I want to talk to you about something that I think we should remember on this December as we stand here under this beautiful, nice, warm South Florida sun. I want you to remember 3 Decembers that makes the American man, the American fighting man, his spirit different from any other fighting man in this entire world. Think back to December of 1776, when our Continental Army, a ragtag bunch of farmers and lawyers and whatever, stood at a place called Valley Forge after they had suffered defeat after defeat. But yet they did not give up. One of the great pictures, I believe, from the history of this country is that picture of George Washington kneeling down in prayer next to his horse, asking for divine providence and guidance. And there was that guidance and providence that took that Continental Army out of Valley Forge, where they crossed the frozen Delaware River and had a successful victory at Trenton. But I want you to also remember what happened in December of 1944. After the great landing of Normandy, after we pushed across France, and we thought that World War II would soon come to an end, but the Germans had one last push. And in that one last push through the Ardennes forest, they ended up surrounding a lonely place in Belgium called Bastogne. And there at Bastogne, the 101st Airborne Division was surrounded. And they were sent a message from the German commander asking for their surrender. And Brigadier General McAuliffe, the commander of that division, sent back a simple one-word answer to the Germans to show the fighting spirit of the American man in that great December. And it was nuts. And they fought through, and they ended up breaking the backs of the Germans, and we ended up winning World War II. But then I also want you to remember one other December. A December in 1950, when a great horde of the Chinese army came across the Yalu River, and men of the United States Marine Corps were surrounded at a reservoir called Chosin. And they stood there. And when the commanding general was asked, "General, now that you're surrounded, are you going to surrender?" And he said, "Absolutely not." He said, "We have those gentlemen right where we want them, and we can attack in every direction." I want you to always think of those 3 Decembers as we stand here on this December day. I want you to always remember that the grass grows greener, not just here in the United States of America, but places all over the world, because of the blood of American men and women who are the fertilizers of freedom, of liberty, and of justice. And those young men and women right now who are standing on the vanguard, standing on the wall for us in Iraq and Afghanistan, on the DMZ in North Korea, they once again are standing there in a December saying that, lay your head down at night and do not worry, because I will not allow your liberties to be lost. But I want to close with paying tribute to a certain group that can't be here to have a wreath laid. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and internment. They are referred to as POWs and MIAs. We who have worn the uniform call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families today, so we join together to pay our humble tribute to them and bear witness to their continued absence. The light of hope continues to live in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of their family and truly a grateful nation. Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all of our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifices, and may God forever watch over them and protect them and their families. And I would ask today that we do set apart one lone wreath to remember the black flag for our POWs and our MIAs. May God bless us all. May God bless the people who are laid behind those tombstones here. May God bless these great United States of America and the young people who are here today, so that the legacy of their sacrifice will continue on for generations and generations to come. Thank you so much.
In this way, Americans collectively can thank departed military veterans for our freedom, a freedom which we all hold so dear. And we are expressing our sincerest thanks today, at this very moment, at Arlington National Cemetery, as well as at this beautiful cemetery here in Lake Worth, Florida. But in addition, again, as we are presenting this ceremony, the same thanks is being expressed to veterans at 498 other cemeteries across our country from coast to coast and overseas. Those similar cemeteries shall be conducted annually now, thanks to an act of the Congress. This replaying occasion today also helps us to remember the immortal words of the same President Congressman West pointed out. Ronald Reagan, and I quote, he said, "Freedom is not free," end quote. Let us never forget that freedom is not free. Wreaths Across America also serves as a springboard for all of us in a patriotic way and with deep gratitude to honor all of those who have served. We also want these wreaths to honor our veterans' families who have endured and continue to endure their sacrifices every day on their behalf and our behalf. Today we also pay homage, I hope, to the 24 million veterans who are still with us and the more than 500,000 of our armed forces throughout the world, all volunteers who are in harm's way defending our freedom so that you and I may live free. Included in that austere group is one of my grandsons who fought in Iraq and is now on deployment to Afghanistan, and another grandson who has returned from the 3 years of fighting in Afghanistan, and regrettably he has been wounded. We will today also lay a wreath honoring 93,129 servicemen and women from all branches of the service whose last known status was either prisoner of war or missing in action. Most of those individuals had never returned to their families, and I'm delighted to be sitting right alongside of David Flynn, who was a former prisoner of war during World War II in the South Pacific. David is right there. Let's get David. David, I promise you, and I ask all of us here today to pledge that we will never forget, as Congressman West asked, we will never forget our POWs and our MIAs, and I say for all of us, you and me, we so pledge. Also, let us not forget what our veterans have done for us. This has been so cogently written by an unknown author, and the piece that he wrote is entitled The Veteran. For those of you who have heard it before, it's well worth hearing again. And for those of you who haven't heard it, I hope you listen well. The veteran. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a free trial. It is the veteran who salutes the flag. It is the veteran who serves under the flag. And it is the veteran whose coffin is draped by the flag. It was the veteran who protected. Let's never, ever, ever forget our veterans. In closing, I trust you sense the gratitude I feel for each of you in your coming together today for this celebration and recognition to pay your heartfelt tribute to these departed veterans. And now, as an aside, I would like you please, let's give a rousing round of applause, and please let's all show them our hearty appreciation to Colonel Montalvo and Major Knudsen and their entire team for putting this total effort together. And it takes a year of planning to make this thing what it is today. Let's give them a rousing hand. And as I previously stated, I feel exceptionally privileged for your having invited me to join with you today. One final thing, I hope that Congressman West gives me the privilege of adding a 4th December event to his prologue, and that is December 7th, 1941, the day of infamy, Pearl Harbor. That's the day that brought me at the age of 17 to volunteer in the United States Army Air Corps, because we didn't have an Air Force then, we had a United States Army Air Corps, from which I became a pilot and did chase subtraces for 4 years, and finally defended and made our coastline of the United States free for our convoys to ship out all of our vital supplies to our allies and our troops overseas. Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you for this privilege.
With us now is Colonel Buddy Harris. Sir, it's a pleasure and privilege to have you on the show.
Good seeing you again, Richard.
Thank you, sir. Please tell our viewers what this event is all about.
Well, Lieutenant, this is the Wreaths Across America ceremony, which in 2008 the United States Congress established that the second Saturday of every December will be a national Wreaths Across America holiday. And what we do is we come to the veteran cemeteries, 258 of them in the United States and about 40 overseas, and we do place wreaths on our veterans' grave sites. It's a show of remembrance, a show of respect, a show of appreciation for what they've done to give us our freedom, which we all enjoy.
Colonel, I see here in this cemetery we have members who have served from all branches of the service, Air Force, Marines, Army, and so forth. Are they from all wars? Tell us a little bit more about this particular cemetery.
Here at the Lake Worth National Veterans Cemetery, we have veterans who have actually fought in all wars since World War II. And just recently, with sadness, a veteran from Iraq was just buried here after having been wounded and killed in Iraq. So yes, all of the military services, all 5 branches, and all of the veterans from all of the wars, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all the wars, are in fact interned here in the Veterans Cemetery.
Sir, in this cemetery, do we have servicemen from all faiths, or is it just one?
The cemetery is multi-denominational, as are all veteran cemeteries here in the United States and abroad. All faiths of all veterans are in fact interred in veteran cemeteries at their choice.
Colonel, please tell our audience who arranged this event today.
Well, Lieutenant Colonel Virginia Montalvo and her daughter, Major Virginia Knudsen, they started this back in 2007. And each year, the ceremony has gotten greater and greater. Today's ceremony will include marching groups from all of the branches of the service. We have a bagpiper and drum corps that will be here. We have a couple of military bands. We have about 150 Patriot Guardians who come here on motorcycle. Most of them are Vietnam veterans. And we'll probably have about 400 to 500 people in attendance. And they've been doing that since 2007, and they're just angels from heaven.
I think this is very commendable and very important for the country and for all of the veterans. Thank you so very much for being with us today, sir.
You are very, very welcome.
With us now is Major Knudsen. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Please tell our audience about your involvement in this event.
Since 2002, Civil Air Patrol and Air Force Association Gold Coast chapter has been involved in hosting the Wreaths Across America here at the Lake Worth, South Florida VA National Cemetery. It's been a pleasure assisting them in honoring, remembering, and teaching our youth about the sacrifices that have been made over the years in the various wars.
Major, please tell our audience in your words why you feel it's important in this day and age to motivate the youth of our land to be aware of these events and in fact serve.
Typically, youth are not told about the sacrifices that our military has made. Unfortunately, in schools, we tend to avoid talking about the military sacrifices. So it's critical that veterans and civilians who participate in Civil Air Patrol, like ourselves, that we explain to youth what the sacrifices have been made for our freedoms, and to let youth be a part of the celebration of life, the remembering of the sacrifices, honoring the sacrifices that have been made, and teaching them so that they might pass it on to the next generation as well.
Major, are Wreaths Across America taking place all across the United States? And tell us a little bit more about this organization and this initiative.
Wreaths Across America started officially in 2006, but it has a story going back to 1992 with a Mr. Worcester from Maine who decided to give extra wreaths to the Arlington Cemetery. As a result, over the years, he has donated to date over 450,000 wreaths to various cemeteries around the country, and through sponsorships, every state has some sort of ceremony celebrating Wreaths Across America and the honor and the remembrance of our military personnel. Every state in the Union, Puerto Rico is included. We have 24 foreign soils that celebrate Wreaths Across America as well. And in Florida alone, we have 23 sites that are celebrating today Wreaths Across America, and this location, South Florida National Cemetery, which is the only national cemetery in Florida, is currently celebrating today.
Major Knudsen, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
And I salute what you're doing for the United States of America and for the youth of our land. Thank you. With us now is Congressman Colonel Allen West. Sir, it's a pleasure and honor to be with you again
Richard,
today.
it is always a pleasure to see you, and I tell you, I thank you for all the support that you gave from Shalom TV.
We are proud to be of service. And sir, we are here today at this event, which is very important. Why are you here laying a wreath today, sir?
Well, as I said in my speech, my parents are buried in Marietta National Cemetery just north of my home in Atlanta. So this is part of who I am, and this is part of a tradition that we have established in this country. And I think it's great that we have the opportunity to remember our veterans. And as I said, I do pray that someone is laying a wreath at the tombstone of Corporal Herman West, just the same as I laid one over here for Charles Brown.
Sir, what are your plans for the future now that you've been elected to the Congress?
Well, I think one of the most important things we have to do is look at the economic situation we have in our country. When you have 9.8% unemployment, that's totally unacceptable. So we have to look at how can we set the conditions to stimulate this economy from the private sector and also private sector job growth, because we've got to cut the spending up in Washington, D.C., and we've got to make sure we're promoting the investment, the ingenuity, and the innovation of the American people. But no matter how prosperous you make this great nation, you have to keep the people safe and secure. So we need to also be focused on the fact that there is a vile and vicious enemy out there that wants to attack and kill Americans and wants to destroy our country, and we have to stay focused on that as well.
So before we conclude, why is it important for people to pay tribute to American veterans at events such as this?
If we forget to pay tribute to the veterans at every one of these national cemeteries, to the veterans who are still alive, and also to the young men and women who are standing on the wall to protect our freedoms and our liberties, then we will lose the essence of who we are in the United States of America. And it won't be long before we will lose this great constitutional republic. And I think one of the very key things is that, they will judge us in future generations by how well we respected and we remembered our veterans, the people who gave and sacrificed for us to have this great nation.
Sir, it's been a real honor to have you on the show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Richard. And Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, sir, to all of us. This concludes our special show for today from on location at the National Cemetery in Lake Worth, Florida. I'm Richard Peritz. Thank you for being with us.